So
I start my day off with a prayer, ask the Lord to guide my steps and, you know, cover me, keep me safe.
Like this group of guys or druggies. It wasn't just syrup, he was doing all that shit. He was doing shrooms before they even talking shrooms. That's why all of his music, homie, his creativity, he can't tap back in because he done burn out. He needed these drugs and this mind-altering substance to go into this studio.
It's like a fine line between having an influence and like letting the drugs like do you instead of you doing the drugs. Like, cause it's so easy to get overconsumed and shit.
I had a drug problem, for a long time. It wasn't just in music, but I definitely was going through a drug problem and I think it was more my state of mind. So I was just pretty depressed.
Physical withdrawals, I associate that with like drug use and drinking stuff. Man, when I went to jail and then I went drinking lean, I went through like withdrawal, like you withdrawing from heroin or something like that. It was like...
Yeah, that little nigga was like my little partner. He used to be like my little brother. He stayed with me and everything.
Okay, where did it go south?
It really ain't just like when, leave off on the bad note. Like everything was still all good until he started, like doing his own thing, getting him a little buzz, getting a little money. He just got the big head and just started like the feelings he been feeling probably deep down inside that he was scared to put out. He let that out once he got a name and got from down here. He started letting this shit out how he probably been feeling. He mad about his sister too though.
About his sister?
Yeah, I had fucked her a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he mad about that. He wasn't really tripping on it back then, though, what I'm saying? He be calling me big brother and shit, you hear me? I guess he just let that fame and shit get to his head. Now he feel like he just this new nigga, whoever he supposed to be, whoever he called himself.
Hip-hop has always been about survival, coming up from nothing, turning pain into music, making it out when nobody thought you would. But there's one battle that keeps showing up again and again. One curse that doesn't care how rich you get, how famous you become, or how many plaques are on your wall. Because some of the biggest rappers of all time weren't just fighting for chart spots, they were fighting to stay alive. And the scariest part? Most people didn't even realize it was happening until it was almost too late. When people talk about addiction in rap, they usually treat it like a stereotype, like it's just partying, just flexing, just rock star lifestyle. But for many artists, it wasn't about fun, it was about escape. Fame doesn't heal trauma, money doesn't erase anxiety, and success doesn't stop the mind from spiraling at 3 a.m. For some rappers, substances weren't a choice anymore. They became survival tools, and nobody represents that hidden nightmare more than one of the biggest names in history, Eminem. Marshall Mathers didn't start out trying to destroy himself. At the height of his fame in the early 2000s, he was unstoppable. The Slim Shady LP, the Marshall Mathers LP sold out tours, worldwide pressure. But behind the scenes, the anxiety was eating him alive. He couldn't sleep, couldn't shut his brain off, couldn't breathe without feeling like the world was closing in. So when doctors handed him prescription pills, it felt safe, legal, controlled, normal. At least, that's what he told himself. It really started during the filming of 8 Mile in 2002. Long shooting nights, brutal exhaustion, insomnia that wouldn't quit. He was prescribed Ambien, and that pill became a switch, a mind eraser. He could perform, move through life, stay numb, but tolerance builds fast. Soon it wasn't just Ambien. It was Valium, Vicodin, Methadone. By the mid-2000s, Eminem was taking insane amounts. Not to get high, but just to feel normal. And then, December 2007 happened. He took what he thought were Vicodin, but they weren't. They were methadone, way stronger. He collapsed in his bathroom. Doctors later told him something terrifying. He was only a couple hours away from dying. That should have been the end. But addiction doesn't work like that. He relapsed within weeks, until finally, he chose a different fight. Counseling, support, the gym, and even people like Elton John helping keep him accountable. Eminem has been sober since April 2008, a rare ending in hip-hop. Because for the next legend, the story didn't end with recovery. It ended with tragedy. DMX wasn't just a rapper, he was a force of nature, raw, explosive, spiritual, broken. But the darkness in his life didn't start with fame. It started when he was only 14. DMX has said one of the most horrifying moments of his life was when someone he trusted tricked him. A mentor passed him a blunt. DMX thought it was weed. It wasn't. It was laced with crack. That single moment planted something inside him, something he would never fully escape. He called it the birth of the monster. And from there, the addiction followed him everywhere, even when the world crowned him a superstar in 1998, even when he was selling millions, even when he was filling arenas. The monster stayed. Cases piled up, arrests, relapses, rehab after rehab. In 2016, he nearly didn't make it after collapsing in a parking lot and needing emergency revival medication. He kept trying. He prayed. He spoke openly about trauma. He fought hard. But addiction doesn't fight fair. In April 2021, DMX suffered a heart attack after an overdose-related emergency. He went into a coma. And a week later, hip-hop lost one of its most unforgettable voices. But while DMX's battle began with betrayal, another legend's struggle was tied to something the culture itself helped normalize: lean. Lil Wayne is one of the most influential rappers alive. Signed at 12. A superstar before adulthood. A living blueprint. But Wayne's career has always had a shadow behind it. That double cup. Lean wasn't just something he did. It became part of the image, part of the bars, part of the brand. The problem is, lean isn't harmless. It's prescription-strength codeine mixed with promethazine. And Wayne was sipping so heavily, his body started breaking down. Seizures, hospitalizations, emergency landings. In 2012, he had seizures on a private jet. In 2013, things got even scarier. He was rushed to the ICU unconscious. Reports said his system had dangerously high codeine levels. People close to him claimed he had downed multiple bottles the night before. And even today, the effects linger. Wayne has spoken about memory issues, health complications, and struggles that fans still worry about. Because lean doesn't just fade away, it leaves scars. And Wayne wasn't the only one. A younger artist came next, and his story became one of the most heartbreaking in modern rap. Juice WRLD made pain sound beautiful. His music wasn't just catchy, it was honest, but behind the melodies was a reality he couldn't outrun. He started experimenting as a teenager, inspired by the drug-heavy culture around him: lean, pills, downers. As fame exploded, so did access. People around him noticed. He was hiding pills, taking more than anyone realized. His engineer once confronted him in tears, terrified he wouldn't survive. Juice agreed to get help. A rehab spot was booked. December 2019. But he never made it. On December 8th, 2019, Juice WRLD passed after an accidental overdose, only 21 years old. His mother later created the Lev Free 999 Foundation, trying to help others escape the same ending. But Juice wasn't the only artist whose success became a slow collapse. Mac Miller's story hit just as hard, because it felt so painfully human. Mac Miller didn't fit the stereotype. He wasn't chaotic, he wasn't reckless, he was thoughtful. But depression doesn't care how talented you are. Mac admitted his substance struggles weren't just about partying, they were about his mind. Success came fast, and with it came pressure. Criticism, expectations, loneliness. Weed turned into lean. Lean turned into heavier substances. His music became more introspective because he was documenting the fight in real time. He had moments of sobriety, moments of hope, but after heartbreak and isolation, he relapsed. On September 7th, 2018, Mac Miller was found unresponsive. He passed from combined intoxication involving fentanyl, alcohol, and other substances. Only 26 years old, and his death forced hip-hop to confront something terrifying. The game wasn't just losing rappers, it was losing souls. And down in Texas, one legend's addiction had already become part of the sound itself. Pimp C helped define Southern rap. UGK was legendary, but lean was everywhere in that era. Not just in cups, in lyrics, in culture, in identity. Lean wasn't just something rappers were doing behind the scenes. It became part of the sound. It was in the music videos, in the double cups, in the lifestyle being sold as normal. And Pimp C was one of the loudest voices pushing it. He wasn't just referencing it casually, he was helping make it iconic in Southern hip-hop. To a whole generation, it looked like a vibe, like a symbol of the culture, but behind the image, the addiction was deadly serious. Pimp C wasn't just sipping for fun, it had become constant. And what made it even more dangerous was something most fans didn't even know about. He had sleep apnea, a condition where your breathing can stop while you're asleep. On its own, that's already risky, but when you mix that with heavy amounts of codeine and promethazine, substances that slow down your nervous system, the danger multiplies fast, because now your body isn't just tired, it's shutting down. By the time December 2007 came around, the damage had been building for years. And then it happened. Pimp C was found unresponsive in a hotel room in West Hollywood. Just like that. One of the most important voices in Southern rap was gone, only 33 years old. The coroner ruled it accidental. Respiratory failure, made worse by the same syrup that had been glamorized in the culture for years. It was a loss that shook hip-hop. But not every story ended in tragedy, because one rapper hit rock bottom and somehow came back looking like a completely different person. Gucci Mane's addiction wasn't quiet, it was chaos. He wasn't hiding it, he was living inside it, lean, pills, weed, everything. Arrests started stacking up. Courtrooms became normal. Mental health spiraled, and his life was unraveling so fast, it felt like it was only a matter of time before it all ended the same way. But then, something changed. And that's what makes these stories so hard to ignore. Because addiction doesn't care if you're a legend, it doesn't care how many awards you win, or how loud the crowd screams your name. It happens in silence, behind the tours, behind the money, behind the image. Some artists found their way back, others never got the chance. And the scariest part is, this battle is still happening right now, all across the industry. So the real question isn't just who we lost, it's who might be next. If you made it to the end, comment below which rapper's story shocked you the most, and what topic we should cover next. And if you want more deep dives into hip-hop's most hidden struggles, untold stories, and unbelievable survival moments, make sure you hit subscribe, because the next video might be even crazier than this one.